Hey everybody, hope your day is going well. We are back with another reaction. We're going to check out John Doe number 24 by Mary Chapin Carpenter. And this was a Patreon request by Matt. Thank you so much for this request and donation. I recently reacted to a song and performance by her, I Am a Town, which was an amazing song, very vivid picture painting in terms of storytelling. Really, really nice. I think this is going to be very similar in terms of storytelling. I hear this was inspired by a newspaper story about John Doe that they, of course, couldn't identify. It speaks for itself. And then she kind of created a fictional story for him, I believe. So that's interesting. I love that type of idea. It's kind of a somber, macabre writing prompt as a writer, if you, but that's how I guess we operate. Let's go.
I read this obituary one day, and it was the
Oh, there's a
headline
story
of it
before.
that,
Okay.
that caught my eye, and it said, "Unknown since 45, John Doe number 24 takes his secret to his grave." He was blind, and he was deaf and mute, and no one knew where he'd come from. And for the rest of his life, he was known as John Doe number 24 because he was the 24th unidentified man in the Illinois state mental system. Then
Oh, it wasn't wait a second. It wasn't a person who died then that they found. I thought it was like a body that they found, John Doe number. It is actually a person who couldn't communicate who he was and where he came from or something. Oh. Oh, I thought it was about somebody they found on the street. Wait a second. I'm getting confused here.
one day I started scribbling, and as far as whatever tools I bring to the table as a songwriter, I really had to rely very much on those tools, imagining touch and smell and sounds and silence
That's
for that
it.
matter.
I love that.
Standing on this sidewalk in 1945 in Jacksonville, Illinois. When asked what my name was, there came no reply. They said I was a deaf and sightless half-wit boy. But Lewis was my name, though I could not say it. I was born and raised in New Orleans. My spirit was wild, so I let the river take it on a barge and a prayer upstream. Well, they searched for mother, and they searched for father, and they searched till they searched no more.
Man.
The doctors put to rest their scientific tests, and they named me John Doe number 24. And they all shook their heads in pity for a world so silent and dark. Well, there's no doubt that life's a mystery, but so too is the human heart. And it was my heart's own perfume when the crepe jasmine bloomed on St. Charles Avenue. I couldn't hear the bells of the streetcars coming by towing the track I knew. And if I were an old man returning with my satchel and pork pie hat, I'd hit every jazz joint on bourbon, and I'd hit everyone on bass, and after that kept passing as they passed me around, from one state ward to another, like I was an orphan shoe from the lost and found, always missing the other.
Wow.
And they gave me a harp last Christmas, and all the nurses took a dance. Well, lately I've been growing listless. I've been dreaming again of the past. I'm wandering down to the banks of the great big muddy, where the shotgun houses stand. I am 7 years old and I feel my daddy reach out for my hand. While I drew breath, no one missed me, so they won't on the day that I cease. Put a sprig of crepe jasmine with me to remind me of New Orleans. I was standing on this sidewalk in 1945 in Jacksonville, Illinois.
Wow. Wow. We're back where we started, at that corner. Oh. I know. I won't. I shouldn't maybe say that, but that is actually my birthday. Dang. Uh, I mean, not the year, but the day. The day. Oh wow. Oh my god. That always happens. Me and my wife always come across that number. By the way, it's every day we have something where my birthday is. It's weird once you start to focus on it. But I hear that in the request it was said that Mary arranged for this headstone. So she arranged for this headstone.
I took his voice in the song. I obviously took a great deal of license by doing that, but I was trying to, I guess, express things that I imagined, as well as sort of putting him in a context, making up a story as to where he might have come from. The marvelous and somewhat poignant part of all this is that since that song came out, I've been contacted by some of the people who took care of him, and they've been able to fill in some of the real details, and they said that he was much loved by everyone who took care of him. And that really did make me feel like this person had a life, and it did count for something, and he was not invisible. Sometimes songs can lead you to those places. It's a magical kind of thing.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Really well written song, and you know the songs that I've listened to before were really incredible, incredibly well written too. I'm not a songwriter, I'm a novelist, but there's some overlap there, especially when it comes to these storytelling songs. And like she said, using the senses, smell, sound, sight. But of course, when you have in this case a person who can't hear, you kind of have to adjust, especially in this world that is designed for able-bodied people, right? Just for everybody that has everything working, as intended, by nature. But if one of those things doesn't function, whether it's your ability to walk or see or hear or smell, and then you're kind of like, you know, you're kind of forgotten about in terms of the design of this world, and you have to find your own way. And it's yeah, that's sad. And of course, when you try to write it, it's very, yeah, man, that is powerful. Whew. And to me, one of the most heartbreaking things in the world, not only as a writer, and as a reader, but as a human being, is the stories that get lost when people, are not remembered or just forgotten about. And to me, that breaks my heart. If I think about it too much, I would start crying. Uh, you know, that's very personal, of course. She, of course, sings very beautifully, very soothing, very heartfelt. I love that picking pattern of the guitar. It's very soothing as well, that repetitive pattern. It's almost like an anchor throughout the song. And was that a sax that came in there? That was beautiful. You see those older images of the town, I guess, maybe Jacksonville. I'm not sure. Yeah, that was beautiful. There's some amazing lines in there. Of course, you get this fictional account of the story that might have been. I love that. Um, but there's some great lines in there about the human heart, right? So the doctor's kind of examining. There's a life. There's What's the line? I'm gonna look for it. There's no doubt that life's a mystery, but so too is the human heart. You can look at it as a doctor medically, but when the stories, the depths of our hearts and stuff, that is the mystery. And that was the line on his tombstone, on his headstone. Yeah, that was amazing. And there was another one that really, oh yeah, their years kept passing as they passed me around. If you're in that system from one state ward to another, and then it was like I was an orphan shoe from the lost and found, always missing the other. God, I can't. I almost choked up just saying it. That is an amazing line, especially with that setup. You see that person go from one place to another, and like an orphan shoe. So you have your two shoes. One is the pair. It's you're missing the other one of the pair, and that's that's heartbreaking. Man. That's sad. Yeah, but then we get a little bit of more of a beautiful thing with the harp at Christmas and the nurses. So those people bring joy to his life and to all the other people they take care of, right? So yeah, respect to those people that really yeah, do that. Amazing, incredibly well written once again, and so beautifully performed. And I love the story at the beginning and at the end. We get a little bit more info. And John Doe number 24 is not forgotten. Beautiful. Thank you for spending some time with me. Hope to see you in another one. Goodbye.